Welcome to our immigration briefing show. Today, we're diving into the complicated world of U.S. student visas, where recent policy uncertainties have students and parents feeling anxious. President Trump's push to increase Chinese student admissions to over 600,000 is now clouded by stricter background checks, social media scrutiny, and possible visa limits, causing some to look elsewhere like the UK or Canada. We're hoping for clearer signals from the US to keep educational exchanges thriving. Next, in Australia, the political scene is heating up. A controversial comment by Jacinta Nampijinpa Price about Indian migrants has stirred up a storm within the Liberal Party, threatening their image among multicultural communities. With over 31% of Australians born overseas, the party is under pressure to mend internal divisions and reach out more effectively to diverse voters, an ongoing challenge in modern Australian politics. Finally, in a troubling development, neo-Nazis took to the streets during Australian rallies, using large crowds and political events to spread hate and propaganda. Despite some politicians distancing themselves, the presence of extremist symbols and rhetoric at these marches raises serious concerns about the normalization of hate groups in public protests. It's a stark reminder of how extremist groups are embedding themselves into nationalist movements, blurring the lines of acceptable discourse. Please continue to stay tuned for more details. The SCMP opinion highlights the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the U.S. student visa system, especially in the context of President Donald Trump's recent proposals to admit over 600,000 Chinese students, a significant increase from current levels. Trump's administration has taken a tough stance on foreign students, revoking thousands of visas and reviewing millions for potential deportation due to overstays or security concerns. Despite Trump's public affirmations of the value Chinese students bring to American universities and his efforts to defend the reputation of the U.S. education system, the lack of clarity and consistency in visa policies, such as potential limitations on visa durations and social media checks, have created an atmosphere of insecurity. This uncertainty has led some Chinese students and their families to consider alternative destinations like the UK, Canada, or Hong Kong, which could threaten the U.S.'s position as a premier destination for international education. Nevertheless, Trump emphasizes the importance of these students for U.S. colleges and maintains that security measures are carefully balanced with welcoming sentiments, underscoring the broader geopolitical and economic stakes involved. Meanwhile, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation paints a troubling picture of the challenges faced by the Liberal Party amid internal divisions and rising racial tensions. The controversy sparked by Jacinta Nampijinpa Price's inflammatory comments about Indian migrants has exposed deep fissures within the party, with some members even contemplating adopting far-right strategies akin to One Nation, risking further alienation of multicultural communities. The party's struggle to distance itself from racist rhetoric, especially amid accusations of supporting a racialized migration system, has intensified fears of losing voter support among diverse electorates, which are crucial in modern Australian politics. The saga has also been weaponized by the Labour Party to portray the Liberals as hostile to immigrant communities, fueling concerns about the party's future electoral prospects. As the Liberals attempt damage control, including public apologies and distancing statements, the broader issue of demographic change and multicultural integration looms large, underscoring how race, migration, and political narratives are intertwined in Australia's evolving landscape. Lastly, the ABC reports on the disturbing presence and propaganda successes of neo-Nazi groups at recent Australian rallies, where their openly racist and anti-Semitic messages gained visibility through marches that included political figures and supporters. The March for Australia, which attracted thousands, became a platform for far-right extremists like the National Socialist Network, whose members openly expressed white nationalist sentiments and venerated Hitler. The participation of politicians, whether knowingly or unknowingly, and the apparent acceptance or inability to prevent neo-Nazi speakers from addressing crowds, reveal a worrying normalization of hate speech. The rally's organizers claimed ignorance of the extremists' presence or denied official involvement, but the optics, such as neo-Nazis standing alongside mainstream politicians, highlight the dangerous potential for propaganda and recruitment. The event underscores the alarming rise of far-right extremism in Australia, with propaganda tactics emphasizing numbers and visibility, and raises urgent questions about how democratic societies confront hate groups that exploit public demonstrations to spread their ideology. Nikkei Asia reports that a significant crisis unfolded at a Hyundai manufacturing plant in Georgia, where U.S. immigration authorities carried out a large-scale raid, detaining nearly 475 workers, predominantly South Koreans. The operation targeted a plant still under construction, where Hyundai, in partnership with LG Energy Solution, was producing electric vehicle batteries, an essential component for the booming EV industry. The raid, part of the Trump administration's broader deportation efforts, shocked South Korea, a key U.S. ally, especially given the country's substantial economic and strategic investments in the U.S., including a $100 billion energy purchase and a $350 billion investment plan. The South Korean government swiftly responded, negotiating with U.S. officials to secure the release of over 300 detained workers, with plans to repatriate them via a chartered flight. The incident ignited diplomatic tensions, with South Korea expressing concern over the treatment of its nationals and emphasizing the importance of fair law enforcement procedures, while videos depicted the detention process, workers being frisked, lineups, and shackling, highlighting the stark reality of the raid. The Toronto Star echoes this narrative, emphasizing the emotional and diplomatic shockwaves caused by the incident. The article details how the raid was not only a significant law enforcement operation but also a reflection of the tense and often contentious immigration policies under the Trump administration. It underscores the fact that most detainees had either entered the U.S. illegally, overstayed their visas, or entered on visa waivers that barred employment, revealing the complex legal statuses of migrant workers. The story also highlights the strategic importance of the Georgia plant, which policymakers and local officials had long championed as Georgia's largest economic development project, making the raid's impact even more profound. South Korea's government, led by Chief of Staff Kang Hoon-sik, pledged to review and improve visa systems to prevent such incidents in the future, signaling a commitment to protecting its nationals abroad. Meanwhile, the incident underscored the delicate balance between U.S. immigration enforcement and international diplomatic relations, with the South Korean government working diligently to ensure their citizens' safe return. Both articles paint a vivid picture of a tense and complex situation that intertwines economic interests, diplomatic relations, and immigration law enforcement. The U.S. raid at Hyundai's Georgia plant stands as a stark reminder of the harsh realities faced by migrant workers caught in the crossfire of national security and immigration policies. The swift diplomatic efforts by South Korea to secure the workers' release and bring them home demonstrate the importance of international cooperation and the human cost of immigration crackdowns. As the incident unfolds, it highlights ongoing debates about immigration reform, the treatment of foreign workers, and the strategic importance of maintaining strong alliances amid a shifting geopolitical landscape. This event not only underscores the vulnerabilities of migrant laborers but also serves as a pivotal moment for U.S.-South Korea relations, emphasizing the need for more nuanced and fair approaches to immigration enforcement that respect international partnerships and protect workers' rights. The Independent reports on President Donald Trump's recent attempt to downplay a social media post that seemingly threatened to declare war in Chicago, amid escalating tensions over federal intervention in the city. Trump's post, which featured an AI-generated image of himself in a cowboy hat sitting before a burning Chicago with the phrase, "Chipocalypse now," sparked outrage and concern among local officials and residents. Despite Trump's claims that he merely wants to clean up the city and not go to war, White House border czar Tom Homan reaffirmed that a crackdown, including potential deployment of National Guard troops, was imminent, targeting sanctuary cities like Chicago. Democratic leaders, including Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, condemned the threats, calling Trump a wannabe dictator, while Homan clarified that Trump's focus was on fighting criminal cartels, not the city itself. The situation has heightened fears of militarized law enforcement and immigration raids, especially in Black and Latino communities, where trust in police is fragile, prompting churches to urge calm and preparedness for possible federal actions. Chicago's community leaders and residents are actively resisting the threats of federal intervention, with protests and marches filling the streets as a show of defiance. On the day designated for Mexican independence celebrations, many festivities were subdued or canceled due to fears of immigration raids and increased law enforcement presence. Protesters, including those waving Chicago's city flag and holding "Know Your Rights" pamphlets, expressed anger over Trump's threats and the potential tearing apart of families through deportations. Voices like Tracy Quiñones, who spoke about her father's refugee journey from Guatemala, and Peggy Devlin, a Holocaust survivor, emphasized the importance of standing against what they perceive as rising fascism and authoritarianism. The demonstrators made it clear that they would not be intimidated, asserting their resilience in the face of government threats, and highlighting the deep community ties that oppose militarization and aggressive immigration policies. Amidst the turmoil, Chicago's churches and local organizations are urging residents to stay vigilant and peaceful in their response to the federal threats. Leaders at institutions like New Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church advised congregants to carry identification, stay connected with family, and peacefully protest without succumbing to fear. Reverend Marshall Hatch called for resource investment rather than military force, emphasizing that violence correlates with the lack of resources. As Illinois and other states brace for potential ICE raids and military deployments, community members remain cautious, especially during significant cultural celebrations like Mexican Independence Day, which have been subdued due to fears of immigration enforcement. The city's Black and Latino communities, already wary of law enforcement, are especially alert, with some fearing that the federal government's aggressive stance could lead to widespread detentions and family separations, further inflaming tensions and underscoring the urgent need for community resilience and peaceful resistance. According to the Toronto Star, President Donald Trump's aggressive immigration policies are currently under intense scrutiny and legal challenge. For instance, the administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a wartime law, to deport alleged gang members from the Tren de Aragua has been challenged in court, with a federal appeals court ruling that such an ancient law cannot be used against gangs like Tren de Aragua. Similarly, Trump's attempt to redefine birthright citizenship through an executive order has been blocked by courts, affirming that the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause guarantees birthright citizenship regardless of the parent's immigration status. Furthermore, the administration's efforts to deport individuals to third countries where they have no ties, such as South Sudan and El Salvador, have faced legal obstacles, with courts temporarily halting some of these removals amid concerns over due process and human rights violations. Nikkei Asia reports that the recent mass detention of over 475 workers at a Hyundai manufacturing plant in Georgia exemplifies the ongoing, large-scale enforcement actions under Trump's deportation agenda. Most of those detained, including more than 300 South Korean nationals, were taken into custody during a coordinated raid targeting the factory, which is a key player in Georgia's economic development. The operation, characterized by video footage showing federal agents frisking and shackling workers, has sparked diplomatic concern, especially from South Korea, which expressed regret and sent diplomats to negotiate the workers' release. The South Korean government announced that a deal had been reached to bring the detained workers home via a chartered flight, highlighting the international implications of U.S. immigration enforcement efforts that often target foreign nationals working in the U.S. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation details how these enforcement actions extend to domestic immigration policies, with the Trump administration conducting mass raids in Southern California, targeting predominantly Latino communities. These operations, which have been challenged in courts for racial profiling and due process violations, resulted in a federal judge ordering the administration to cease such tactics in several counties, including Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the administration's attempts to revoke temporary protected status, TPS, for hundreds of thousands of immigrants from countries like Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua continue to face legal battles, with courts reinstating protections that the government sought to end. Additionally, efforts to expand fast-track deportations and limit due process rights have been temporarily blocked by judges, emphasizing ongoing legal resistance to Trump's aggressive immigration policies amid concerns over fairness and human rights. The Independent reports that South Korea has successfully negotiated with the United States for the release of over 300 South Korean workers detained during a massive immigration raid at a Hyundai manufacturing plant in Georgia. The raid, conducted by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE), was part of a broader crackdown on unlawful employment practices, resulting in the arrest of 475 individuals, many of whom were South Korean nationals working at Hyundai's electric vehicle plant. The South Korean government, led by Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Hun-sik, expressed its commitment to ensuring the safe return of its citizens, with plans to send a chartered flight once administrative procedures are finalized. The incident has sparked diplomatic tension, especially since the plant is a significant economic project for Georgia, and the arrests have been criticized by South Korean lawmakers and the public. The operation, which involved federal agents escorting workers outside the plant and conducting searches, was defended by U.S. authorities as a lawful investigation into illegal employment, though it drew sharp reactions from South Korea, emphasizing the importance of protecting its nationals and fostering better visa regulations to prevent future incidents. Associated Press highlights that the South Korean government has secured a deal with the U.S. to bring home more than 300 workers detained at the Hyundai plant in Georgia, with plans to dispatch a charter plane after completing remaining administrative steps. The raid, the largest of its kind in U.S. Homeland Security history, targeted a sprawling Hyundai facility where electric vehicles are produced, and involved the detention of hundreds, mostly South Koreans, under suspicion of unlawful employment. While the U.S. authorities maintained that the operation was a lawful investigation into employment violations, critics, including South Korean officials and lawmakers, condemned the mass detention and called for proper treatment of their citizens. The incident has underscored the delicate diplomatic relationship between the two nations, especially given the significance of Hyundai's investment in Georgia and the broader context of U.S.-South Korea economic and political cooperation. The South Korean government's swift response and the impending repatriation of its nationals demonstrate the importance of diplomatic channels and the ongoing efforts to safeguard the rights of their workers abroad amidst complex immigration enforcement actions. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Waking up to wonders, checking nature blunders. Got our rockets flying while the oceans are sighing. Lasers in the sky now.